Okay, okay. I just have to walk straight from here and and hope. Fuck! Greetings, squires. It is I, the Wheat Knight, and today I've brought you a video of a different type. Far different from my last one, where I murdered a lot of people. This one is just going to be some talking about a great game called Aliens Dark Descent. Good lord, have I had fun, and fuck this game, it's so good. Well, to start this off, I just want to say Aliens Dark Descent does something a lot of other games, and just media in general, doesn't these days. It's got its own, basically standalone story that doesn't immediately affect the entirety of the rest of the franchise as a whole. Because instead of just, following the typical story of, like, the Ripley family and their survival of the alien infestation, we follow a new protagonist. Maiko Hayes, a deputy administrator on a space station called Pioneer Station. Great English, me. Where, as it turns out, one of the fellow Weyland-Yutani workers snuck aboard a bunch of facehugger eggs and unleashed them on Pioneer Station to allow the infestation to take root so he could escape with more eggs. Because, of course, corporation bad, why the fuck not? Which sparks our new hero Maiko doing the only thing she could. Activating an orbital defense grid that shot down that motherfucker's ship, the nearby USCM frigate, the Otago, and herself, forcing them onto the planet below. Which, newsflash for anyone who knows anything about aliens, or I guess doesn't know, aliens spread really fast. This has been going on for approximately 20 minutes by the time we get to the planet below, and there's already just most of the basically the entire civilian population is dead. The entire first settlement we sweep through, there was only like one actual survivor, and a lot of corpses. Kinda like this poor fuck sitting right here in this piece of rock. Yeah, real bad thing right here. By now, these eggs would have popped out and killed us. But, beyond that, the story, as I brought out, being standalone as it is also rather engaging, because despite these being entirely new characters, they bring a certain engagement to the story. Our two main characters are Maiko Hayes and Jonas Harper, a sergeant of the USCM, who happens to have some strange ability that I still haven't completely figured out. I haven't fully finished the game, to be honest, where he seems to have some sort of psychic flash just before the Xenomorph Hive launches an assault of some kind. Anytime a major offensive is about to be mounted, he can just feel it coming, and it basically gives the poor man seizures. So we have that storyline to contend with, on top of Maiko trying to find a way to disable the security field in orbit around the planet, while simultaneously saving any civilians we can along the way. Which, as I said earlier, newsflash, not a lot of civilians left. Most of these motherfuckers are dead. Very sad, but what can you do? And even as this story continues, as basic as it may sound, it gets deeper. Because within the second mission, we discover that there's a bunch of fucking nutcases on this planet, legitimately worshipping the Xenomorphs, begging to be just taken, face-hugged, and just chest-bursted within the same day if they can. The funniest story I can tell, my Marines had a shootout with a group of these mad cultists, and in the middle of it, one of them got snatched up by a xenomorph and was just like, yes, to the great descent. My man was all too happy to be just snatched up and killed. And there are just more and more cultists like this, led by a psychotic man named Marlowe, who was such a genius he could only contend with himself, so he made a bunch of synthetic doppelgangers to keep himself company, all the while creating a vast military of a bunch of dudes with basically chest bursters in fish tanks in their chests, so they can walk among the xenomorphs without just being murdered on sight. That's just the gist of the story as far as I've seen. I'm more invested than ever, because the last thing I did in the game was have this fucking bitch named Price basically betray me. She said she wanted to help, offer assistance with repairing our ship, the Otago, and essentially get any remaining civilians off-world. She was fucking lying. The literal second she got all the data she needed from one of this man Marlowe's labs, she had one of our scientists basically betray us, set a xenomorph loose, and try to host a hostile takeover of the Otago with a small fire team of Weyland-Yutani mercenaries, all of whom are now dead. And I'm pretty sure she is too, because last time I saw her, we ditched her at her tower while it was just getting swarmed by xenomorphs. Like, if you've ever seen ants going up the side of a fucking table leg, it looked like that. There was a lot of fucking aliens. That bitch is dead. If she's not, I don't know what to tell you, fans. She must be filmed dead. And that's all just focusing on the enjoyment of the story as a whole. The gameplay is also good, particularly in the way that what you do throughout a mission can change how the rest of further missions can play out. Because you can find civilians on certain missions who can give you resources, take a position as a physician or an engineer, anything. And along the way you can gain upgrades and more weapons to better defend yourselves against the xenomorphs. So, the game's progression based on the player, always giving you the tools you need to survive, and thereby making any mistake you make entirely your own. Which is where we come to the bad of the game. RNG is horrendous. The enemy movements are horrendous. I spent a whole, 30 minutes having to reload one section because my B team wasn't built for the mission they were on. And every time I tried to move them past a small corridor, a xenomorph would spawn in said corridor. And if it didn't spawn in said corridor, it would spawn an event 2 centimeters from said corridor, and immediately see them. So I had to reload about a dozen times to keep my team alive, only for that 13th time to load the game, no xenomorph spawned. Just a clear shot all the way through. Absolute blasphemy beyond belief. I could not explain how much it annoyed me if I tried. That said, mistakes at any point in a level could spell doom if you are not careful. Over here, we're on a stealth mission now. To be honest, the worst part of the bad stuff is quite simply the same problem most games like this has, because it's a form of real-time strategy. A fucking death clock. A countdown timer that if you don't reach it in time, you just outright lose with no way of fixing it. You'd have to completely restart the game or load a significantly earlier save in order to right this fuck up. But as usual, that is a mistake only you can make, and therefore it's entirely your fault if you make that mistake. But beyond that, I know I counted it among... Okay, fucking take 2 of this. My least favorite part of this is the fact that, like a lot of real-time strategy games in this similar style of Aliens Dark Descent, it has a fucking death clock. Which means if you don't finish the game in this specific amount of time, you just outright lose. You have to load either a far back previous save or completely restart. Both of which are extremely annoying, very punishing, but as usual with games like this, and as I said earlier, if you're in that position, it's entirely your own fault. Which means I'm a fucking idiot. And it's my fault I'm in a bad position. It's my fault I only have like 4 fucking days to save the planet. But, you know, that's on me. Can't blame anybody else. But as I brought up with the good aspects of this game, the progression is entirely based on the player in a bad way as well. That being this very simple mechanic called the infestation level, which is essentially, after every deployment, the infestation level rises, and once it crosses a certain threshold, there will now be significantly more xenomorphs per mission. Whether you've already been to the locations and cleared everything, there will be more. If it's an entirely new place, there will be more, with the maximum level being infestation level 5. If you allow it to get this out of hand, I feel really sorry for you, because I feel really sorry for myself too. Because I cannot take like 3 steps in this game anymore without running into like 8 xenomorphs. It's fucking horrendous. It is taxing, it is stressful, it is an unbelievable amount of fun. And again, it is entirely my own fault for bringing it on myself, not being careful enough with my time. And that, my dear viewers, concludes at least this section of the good, the bad, and the combat. Next up, we'll be covering the combat. Any fucking questions from my cameraman? Or just stand there.
Where do babies come from?
Well, you see, dear viewer, a facehugger comes out of an egg, latches onto your face, does the no-no dance on your mouth, and then a chest burster pops out like 30 minutes later. That's where baby xenomorphs come from. I know you didn't ask specifically for baby xenomorphs, but I'm not telling you how actual babies are born. To be honest, dear viewers, I don't know myself. I'm gay. Yeah, I think that's good for. I think that's good enough for a scene transition. We good to go? Give me a nod over there, cameraman. Okay, now we have the combat. My personal favorite aspect of this game. If anyone out there has ever played the game XCOM 2, it's kind of like that, but real time. So none of that, like, constant stopping to plot your next move. Just, if you die, you die. Like this! Oh, shit! In other news, me and my cameraman have both fucking died. That, dear viewers, could have gone better. But now I can show you a greater aspect of the gameplay. The cunning of the xenomorphs. You see, they don't fight like normal human beings. They sneak through the vents and get the drop on their opponents. This is very helpful in the case of dealing with a fucking dipshit like me, or in this case, a bunch of guys on turrets. Turrets are very dangerous, kids at home. Do not run in front of turrets. Especially if they're fully loaded. Now, allow me to iterate on another aspect of the combat I love. There are multiple different kinds of xenomorphs. The basic one being the drone. Typically, only the drones can hide in vents to jump out at you and say, "Fuck all of your progress, you dumb bitch." I hate the drones. But boy, oh boy, do I hate the Praetorians even more! They're very similar to drones, except they're like 7 feet taller and with way more spikes. How the fuck did they do this? I am lost. Praetorians are typically field commanders for the xenomorphs. They lead the others into battle and typically only... Wait. Oh, I'm at a wall. Whoops. And typically only engage in combat if they believe they can win the engagement. That said, wait, is it... No, this is another wall. That said, while the Praetorians are quite dangerous with groups, they are significantly less dangerous on their own. Case in point, any squad worth their salt can fucking gun them down with ease. Or if you're me, just set up like 4 turrets and watch him keel over like a fucking dying animal. Oh shit! Ah! And this is another secret the xenomorphs like to use. Jumping out of vents. As you can see, it's an effective tool to jump out of vents when your enemy has no idea you're there. It makes murdering them much easier. But, on to the next variant of xenomorph you can kill. Because it was man who was made in God's image, not them. The next variant we have is the warrior. A literal immediate step up from the drones. They are just bigger, stronger, and slightly faster. But no less easy to murder. They are pathetic. Except they can, like, leap at you, and it's really fucking scary sometimes. And this is a... Oh! That's another, As you can see, this is the typical tactic any good soldier would use. Multiple turret points. I'm not entirely sure we're going to survive this. Or is this... Oh no, this is the same turret point. I just completely forgot there was another route here. Oh, Jesus. A good way to deal with grouped-up enemies, particularly xenomorphs since they swarm like bugs, is to throw grenades at them. If grenades don't work... Oh, I fell off. Damn, my career didn't even start yet. I have to get back to my cameraman. Hold on, cameraman, I'm coming. This is really embarrassing. While you await, with the cameraman doing his job of whatever he's currently doing, possibly shooting at people. Oh my god, my grenade didn't work. Ah, the second one will. As you can see, grenades work great on grouped-up enemies. And a group of USCM Marines without turrets is significantly easier to kill than those with turrets. The xenomorphs have no form of projectiles, so they like to just walk up and start beating the shit out of you. But as you can see, with With a significant number of allies, you can persevere and slay those puny humans. Monsters to kill is the Crusher Xenomorph, which is quite simply a fucking xenomorph with a battering ram for a head. Its primary ability is charging straight at you like a fucking maniac, and it has like the highest health of the xenomorphs, excluding the queen, therefore making it a real problem in tight enclosed spaces. If you're at all a fan of the Aliens franchise, you know that's like 90% of the scenery is tight enclosed spaces, so, you know, fuck you if you have to fight a Crusher. Beyond that, next up on the weaker side again, the Runners. They're typically more quadrupedal than the other xenomorphs, and they are so fucking fast. Ridiculously fast, to the point that if you're not ready for a runner, your troops will just get, like, knocked down and butt-fucked immediately because you were not prepared for something moving so quick. You would think you're dealing with a speedster with how fast these little bastards can move. They are, however, one of the weakest forms of xenomorph, making them extremely easy to kill. My favorite. I love those little bastards. They die so easily. Obviously, it goes without saying, though, the xenomorphs also have facehuggers on their side. Fuck them. They are humongous pieces of shit. And to round out these horrendous monstrosities and aberrations of nature is the Xenomorph Queen. I kind of don't need to explain that one. She's a huge bitch. Literally. Just giant, humongous head. Probably would sound like a Karen if they could speak English. I fucking hate them. But they aren't that bad to deal with. I set up 4 turrets once and watched one die in literally 20 seconds. It was hilarious. That poor dumb bitch. And that concludes this small documentary on the various types of xenomorphs you'll be fighting. Next, just a basic overview of the weaponry. There are 3 types of assault rifle. I only have one in my hands right now, but as you can see, it shoots bullets. Very basic, just like all the other ones. The starting assault rifle, however, also comes with a grenade launcher, so you can do that without having to use your hands. I know, really cool. I love grenade launchers. But to pair with the grenade launcher, all of your Marines have a standard issue shotgun to carry with them. Very good for slaying the xenomorphs and dealing a fuck ton of damage immediately. And in the event any of your men are grabbed or snatched up by a xenomorph, a quick blast from the shotgun is typically all it takes to get those motherfuckers to drop them. Beyond that, you have generic pistols of every kind, a regular pistol, a revolver, and a submachine gun for if you actually live that long. All of these things are locked behind levels, of course. Beyond those simple weapons, you have separate classes that get other weapons. Not pictured here, a smart gun that you can set up as a turret. It's just literally carrying a turret in your hands. It's pretty Wait a minute. The smart gun is essentially this, but reverse. If you just reverse the footage of me ripping this off that turret stand there, that's how the smart gun works. Past these meager weapons, you also get a few others that deal significant damage. An upgraded assault rifle with more ammo and higher damage. No grenade launcher though, so you know, take that with a pinch of salt, if you will. But beyond that, here, this works. Beyond that, you can upgrade to the highest tier weapon, a plasma rifle. This is the best equivalent I fucking have, because, let's be honest, the battle rifle is the best gun ever. It fires a significant amount of rounds, more than the basic or upgraded assault rifles, And beyond that, it has a special ability allowing it to overcharge itself and discharge an ungodly amount of damage that will kill anything and everything in its line of sight, with the downside of making the weapon entirely unusable until your next rest of any kind. With the plasma rifle now out of the way, our next weapon up is very simple. A sniper rifle. It's self-explanatory. It's a sniper rifle. Though, to be honest, I don't normally use the classes it's associated with, so I don't know if this is actually a really good weapon or a really bad weapon. What I do know is a good weapon that I've also barely used: the rocket launcher. By God. If you've never blown something up, you are missing out. The USCM rocket launcher is an absolute monster. If you have a problem in a general direction and it happens to be bunched up, you will not have a problem anymore once you've fired a rocket at it. But that's kind of the rule with any game, not just Aliens Dark Descent. To supplement these primary and secondary weapons are a few other things. A simple mine that can be placed down, motion sensors to help you see where the xenomorphs are when they're not directly around your squad, and a battle drone that can be used to scout out areas without causing any undue stress, like causing the entirety of the nearby hive to have a fucking conniption and come try to fuck your shit up. Of course, the downsides of these things are also noticeable. You could set up a plethora of mines to deal with an incoming horde of xenomorphs, and then one facehugger can run through and accidentally detonate all of them, and all that preparation was wasted. Or alternatively, you could try to send your battle drone around to scout some stuff out, and it turns out there are still cultists around, and they just shoot it out of the sky, because fuck you. And that's just the brief overview of all of the weapons, as I currently remember them. As I said earlier, the game is only as hard as you make it. If you train your squad right, if you distribute your XP and missions thoroughly, your troops will level up, they will gain the necessary classes to survive, you will unlock these weapons, and you will be able to survive the hive. But you could also be me and be a complete fucking idiot and almost fuck yourself over by taking too long at one point.